Hi everyone, welcome back. Today is a Pilates session especially for your hips. So if you've been sat down a lot today or over the past few weeks, this session is going to be really good for you to help release any tension, open up the hips. And it is important that we do some strengthening exercises in other parts of the body to help keep our hips healthy. But this session today is just to help bring up some more mobilization and hopefully get you feeling a little bit better. Okay, so we're actually going to start lying down on the mat. So bring yourself into what we call the supine position, and if you do need something underneath your head, then pop a cushion or a yoga block there, and really this is just to make sure that we are focused on the ceiling and not with the head tilted back and looking behind us. So bring yourself with your feet planted into the floor, knees are bent, and just try and ground yourself, spreading out through the shoulders, opening those collarbones, and just relaxing yourself into the floor. Now we'll start with a few pelvic tilts. So you can place your hands onto your hip bones, and just imagine now your pelvis is a bucket of water. And we're going to let that pelvis tip forward so the water is going to spill out over to your feet. And then we're going to feel kind of a lifting off of the lower back. So an arching through the lumbar spine. Then we're going to tip that bucket backwards, so we're now pressing the whole of our lower back into the floor. And you may feel your glutes start to peel off slightly. Okay, so just gently tip forwards and backwards, finding what we call our neutral position now. So if you were to place your hands in a diamond shape, your fingers rested on your pubic bone, the heels of your hands on your hips, they should all be roughly quite level. So there we are in neutral. Now you can take your arms back down to your sides, relax again through those shoulders, and just take your right leg into tabletop now. So 90 degrees through the angle, through the back of the knee, and you can rest your right hand onto your knee as well. And what we're going to do is start to circle the whole of the leg and the thigh around your hip. We're going to go in a clockwise direction first. And the aim here is to keep everything as level as we can. So start with some small circles, so we're not rolling on one side to the other. We're keeping everything into the core, steady and still. If you need to, place your hands onto your tummy again, just to make sure that you're not moving around and rolling onto the floor. So imagine that your leg is a spoon, and your hip is a pot of honey, and you're stirring the leg into the hip. You can gradually take the movement a little bit bigger if you want to, alright, but just make sure you're keeping that control and try and keep it in as much of a smooth circle as possible. Now you can take it the other direction. Try not to let the foot come down. We want to keep this tabletop position through the leg. I find it helps keeping my hands on my hips, that way I'm making sure that I'm not rolling over onto one side. We're just going to think about the breath while we're doing this. So breathe naturally, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And you might find that now, going the other way, you feel like it's getting a little bit smoother, you've got some more mobility coming on into the hip. So go one more time this way, and then place that foot down. Okay, take a breath in, breathe out. Float the left leg into tabletop. And again, we'll go clockwise first. Start to smoothly circle the leg around the hip, so the spoon is coming around the pot of honey, smoothly stirring. So just feel if it feels a little bit tight, if it feels a little bit stiff to start with. You just listen to your body and do what feels right. Something to be aware of is that this other leg, whilst you're staying still, it doesn't drop out to the side. So keep everything else as still and as steady as you can. Being aware of where your shoulders are, keep them down away from the ears, and keep breathing through this. I know you're concentrating on just moving the leg around the hip, but try to breathe and relax through the body. Okay? Reverse the circle, take it around the other way. Again, make sure your shins stay parallel to the floor. Use that full breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Well done. So just mobilising up into the hip first. Last 3, 2, and 1. Place that foot down. Now, starting with the feet about hip distance apart, knees then are in line with the hips. Relax the arms out just a little bit wider than your mat and allow the knees to tip and fall to one side. Now you will start to lift off from that top hip. So a little bit of spinal rotation, especially into the lower back. Don't worry about the knees completely coming down to the floor, just take it as far as you need to. Then we're going to draw the opposite rib cage to the hip, pulling up through the centre of the body, zipping the legs up, and then over to the other side. Okay, so just keep the head and neck onto the mat or onto your block and just start to release around the pelvic area, the hips, the lower back. So you will just roll onto the sides of the feet as you're doing this as well. Taking it over one side and back to centre. And you might, because the feet are a little bit apart, you might feel more of a stretch coming down the front of your hips now. Okay, so again, just take it slowly, take it gently. Okay, come back to the centre. Now bring the feet and knees together so they're completely stuck like you've wrapped them around with cling film. Still with the arms to the side. Now take the knees down to one side, but try and keep the feet and knees stuck together. So you might not be able to go quite as far. Again, just allow the knees to fall as far as they need to. But remember, when you're taking them down to the floor now, you need to think about pulling the rib cage and abdominals down together to help bring yourself back up and then over to the other side. Alright, so we're really not using the back as much to help us return to the start. We're using the abdominals, drawing the rib cage down to the hips. Still just breathing steadily, feeling this movement. Take it one side to the other. Now you can, even if you've got the block underneath your head, but just be careful, you can turn the head to the opposite direction of the way that the knees are going. So if your knees are now dropping to the right hand side, just gently look over your left hand shoulder. And come back up through the centre. One more time, let's go each side. Take your time. Just lifting the head, rolling from one shoulder to the other. Feeling that twist coming through the spine, down the front of the hips. Okay, so just to work through the abdominals a little bit, getting the stretch down the hips. Okay, we're going to go into the scissors exercise. So you can keep your legs in a bent position or straight depending on how strong you're feeling through the core and how you're feeling just the day. So you're going to lift your head, neck and shoulders off the floor, flexing through the spine, drawing that rib cage down towards the top of the hips. Then you're going to bring your right leg up into tabletop, interlocking your fingers just behind there. Then bring the left leg into tabletop as well. Straighten that left leg out and then swap sides. Try and keep that tummy button pulled in towards the spine. Exhale as you swap legs. Inhale as you come back. Exhale, take it over. I'm just going to pull the bubble out. And swap sides. And again, keep lifting up onto those shoulders. Feel that lengthening down through the hip. If you need to, just lower your head, neck and shoulders down, and you can do that from here. Keep the legs a little bit higher so you're not going to feel this as much through your core. And swap. But if you're okay, lift up onto the head, neck and shoulders. Keep that rib cage knitted down into the body. Last 3, 2, and 1. Hook the knees in, lower your head, neck and shoulders back down. Bring one foot down at a time And then you can go into a full body stretch, lengthening out the legs, lengthening out the arms. You can remove the block now from under your head if you had one there. So feeling this stretch down through the abdominals. And we're now going to roll over onto our right hand side. So just using your arm as a little bit of a pillow, stack your feet, your knees and your hips directly on top of each other. So if you were to look down your body, your legs should be as far away from you as possible for your feet. Okay, so level 1 with the hand in front of you for support, with the fingertips there if you can. Level 2, that hand stays on the top hip. Relax through the shoulders, relax through the head and the neck. As you exhale, you're going to float the top leg off. I want you to feel the lengthening coming down through the side of the body into the top of the hip. And then we're going to start to circle this leg now, taking the leg backwards and just feeling some more mobility coming through the hip. So take it gently. You might start to feel a little bit of heat and warmth coming into the side of the thigh as well. And that's okay, we're working some deep muscles around the hip and the glutes here now as well. So take it very small, because again we want to avoid rocking forwards or backwards. Use the breath, use that pelvic floor pulling up into the body, and use your core to help keep you steady and balanced onto your side. Breathe. And you can, if you prefer to have that cushion underneath your head, just make sure that you're not lifted and straining through the head and the neck here. Circle through that leg. Last few, taking the leg backwards, you're going to feel the opening down the front of the hip now. Last 2, and last 1. Lower the leg down if you need to for a moment, still trying to make yourself as long as possible. Take a breath, and then you're going to exhale, lift that leg again, just so it's coming in line with the hip. Fingers can come in front now because this is a little bit more challenging. You're going to kick forwards and then bring that leg back. So you can just bring it back slightly further than your supporting leg. Kick forwards and pull it back. Now as you kick forwards, you can flex the foot and then point to pull it back. Breathe in, breathe out, flex the foot, point the toes to pull it back. Try and keep this leg in line with the rest of the body. It's tempting to let it come and drop down to the floor. So try and keep it lifted. Keep the range of movement slower and smaller if you're finding this quite challenging. Alright, just go with how your body is feeling. Try as well, a lot of things to remember, try to avoid rocking and letting this top hip come down towards the floor. We want to keep them completely stacked. Kick forwards, point, drag that leg back. Breathe. And watch this top shoulder, keep that pulled back as well. So just like with the hips, you want to make sure that the shoulder isn't rolling in and collapsing into the chest. Last 2. Last 1. Pull it back. Well done. Lower that leg. You can bend both legs now if you want to, and just give that a bit of a pat and a rub. Okay, so now you have got more or less a 90-degree angle through the knees. Your knees are in a flexed position. You might just need to adjust yourself, because I want you to check that your hips, your knees and your feet are still stacked. You can keep your head rested down here. Hand on the hip. Let's go for that now. Feet are going to be glued together. They're not going to come apart. They're going to stay in touch with each other. As you exhale, you're going to let that top knee just open and then close back down. So we're not letting it open as far as we can and rolling back. We're just going to keep everything still stacked, bringing it up and then lowering it down. We're going to feel this working into the bottom. Alright, but we're taking that hip out to the side, a movement that doesn't often get done or used. Okay, so just take it up and down. Up and down. We're going to do 4, 3. That's it, good. Really feeling this now. 2, and 1. Lower that down. Do a bit of a pat and a rub. And we're now going to go onto the other side. So roll yourself over. I'm just going to swivel around. Okay, so again, lying out, lengthening through the body, using your arm as a little bit of a pillow underneath your head. Stack your hips, your knees and your feet. Lengthen all the way down, but pulling up through the core and your pelvic floor. Roll the top shoulders back, hand on the hip, breathe out as you lift that leg. Start to circle the whole of the leg around through the hip. We're taking it backwards. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. Breathe. That's it, good. Keep that going smoothly. Smoothly. Take that leg around the hip socket. That's it, just get used to this movement. The whole of the leg into the hip. Last 2. And last 1. Lower it down if you need to for a moment. Give it a pat and a rub before we then move into the kicking and pulling back. So hand in front if you need to. By all means try it with the hand on the hip. As you exhale, lift that top leg. Gently just take that leg forward. Get used to the movement before we bring any ankle pointing or flexing. Take that leg forwards. And gently pull it back. Kick the leg forward, try and keep it just at the same height away from the floor if you can. A couple of inches, and then when you're ready you can point to pull that leg back. Flex, feel that stretch down the back of the leg and the calf, and then point, pull it back. So like you're pulling that leg through some water, so you're feeling that resistance slightly. Pull it back. Flex, push it forwards and drag that leg back. And remember, you could take it a little bit further back than your supporting leg, so you're feeling that stretch down the front of the hip there as well. Glide it forwards, pull it back. Watch this top shoulder. It is quite tempting to allow that to roll and fold it inwards, so take it back and down. Keep it where it should be. Point, pull it back. Last 2. We're feeling it on this side. Pull it back for the last 1. Well done. Bend the knees in towards the chest. Give it a pat and a rub. We've got about 8 reps now with the clamp on this side. So like I said before, make sure your feet, your knees and your hips are still stacked. Super glue the sides of the feet together now. It's just the knees that are going to come apart. Hand on the hips, so we're making sure that we're feeling where the movement is coming from. Breathe out, push the feet together, take that top knee away from the bottom knee. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, side of the thigh, working to help lift and move the leg in this direction. Bring it back. So again, you can imagine that you're pushing this top knee through the water and bring it back down. Last 2. Just tapping the knees down in between each rep. And last 1, push that knee and bring it back down. Well done. Okay, we're going to come onto our front now, but push yourself up. Okay, we're going to open up through those hips by coming onto our all fours. If you want to just do a few cat and the dog, you can do. So mobilising through the spine, send the sit bones into the air, make sure your knees are underneath your hips. Pull the shoulders down the back and just allow the tummy to drop down towards the floor. Then as you exhale, you're going to scoop that tummy button now away from the mat, up the base of the spine under. Keep the elbows soft, rounding through the upper back Dropping the head and neck down between the arms. Little bits of an arch through the back. Okay, sit back over onto your heels for a moment, and we're going to step forward now with the left foot. So onto the knees, left foot forwards, right knee staying down on the floor. Now already feeling a little bit of a stretch down the front of my right hip. So this might be enough for some of you today. Pop a cushion underneath the knee if you need to for a little bit more padding, and rest your hands onto your left thigh. Just gently easing those hips forwards. Make sure that your left knee doesn't come over the ankle. You might need to shuffle the left foot forwards. So breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth. Breathe in, and breathe out. I'm just going to hold it here and let this stretch develop, okay? Good. So just easing those hips slightly further forwards, sinking that pelvis down towards the floor. Ease into it. Okay, the further you push those hips forwards, make sure that we're not dipping or arching into the lower back. Bring it back at any point that you need to. Then exhale, gently sink down into that stretch. Well done. Okay, bring yourself back up. Left foot comes in, step forwards now with that right foot. So low lunge. Relax through that back foot again. Make sure that you're standing, you're kneeling up tall. Hands on the hips. Cushion underneath the left knee if you want. Just easing those hips forwards. So if you just glance down, your ankle should be directly underneath your right knee. Shoulders roll back. Chin slightly down. Crown goes ahead. Lifted. Energy being pulled up through the crown of your head. Sing that a little bit lower on your out breath if you can. Again, we're not leaning back into this. Rest your hands onto your thigh if that helps. That's it. Gently does it. Gently, gently, gently. Good stuff? Okay. Slowly come back up into the centre, and we're going to come onto our bottoms again, rolling ourselves onto our back. So nothing underneath our head for this exercise. Alright, just keep your head on the mat without anything underneath it. Bring your feet a little bit closer towards your bottom now, and that might help tilt the pelvis into that posterior tilt. So we're just lifting the glutes off from the floor slightly. Keep the feet and knees in line with the hips, and just relax your arms down by the side. Open across the chest. Take a breath in through the nose, and as you breathe out, pull up through the core. Start to squeeze the glutes together and push down through your feet, peeling each segment of the spine one by one. So lifting the lower part, the mid, and then the upper part of the back, pushing those hips up towards the ceiling, taking it to the shoulders and no further. I'm feeling a lovely lengthening effect now coming through the front of the body, the hips and down the thighs. Keep the knees in line with the hips. Slowly, as you exhale, re-stick spine down. Top, mid, lower part of the back. Lastly with the pelvis. And then try then to keep it in neutral without tipping forwards, spilling that water out the front. So again, as you exhale, push down through the feet, spread those toes, send those hips up, peeling yourself off. Squeeze the glutes, just use the back of the legs. Feel the opening down the front of the hips. Try to get a diagonal line from your chin to the end of your knees. Reach those fingers down away from your ears. And then gently, 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 without any wobbling, if you can, bring yourself down back onto the mat. You might feel your spine start to lengthen as you do this, especially when you're coming back down. So take your time I'm going to do a couple more repetitions. I'm going to show you a progression as well from here. Peel yourself off. Take it up. Slowly lower it down. So a little bit of a hold at the top, but remember we're still breathing even if we're holding an exercise. Pull that tummy button closer towards your spine. Exhale. Now I'm going to show you a progression on here. Stay with the bridge if that was just feeling right for you today in this session. Otherwise, we're going to do this now on one leg. So you're going to lift the right foot off the floor without tipping or twisting through the pelvis. You're going to lift that right leg off, straighten the leg, point the toes, and just slowly bring it down. Just so the thighs come parallel. Flex the foot, lift it up. You're going to stay strong through this left thigh. Try not to let the bottom come down. Keep it lifted. Lengthen that leg away. Flex. Pull it back. Point. Lengthen. Bend that knee now. Bring the foot back down. Gently bringing it down. So only do that level of the exercise if you feel confident, if you've been practicing for a while. Let's do the other side now. Still keep the shoulders melted, plugged into the floor. As you exhale, the tailbone under, push down through your feet, send those hips up, squeezing into the glutes. Stabilize through your body, plant that right foot deep into the floor, pressing down through the leg. Lift the left leg off. Point the toes. Get that leg down. Flex. Lift it up. Point. Make that leg as long as you can. Keep this right leg strong. Flex the ankle. Lift that leg up. Point. Keep that rib cage inside the body. Last one. Point. Lower. Bend at the knee. Keeping those hips as level as you can. Squeeze both the glutes together and re-stick the spine down one by one. Bring the base of your pelvis down, and you can hug one knee in towards the chest, lengthen the other leg away. So it doesn't matter which side now, just hug one knee in, lengthen the other leg away, feel that stretch down the front of your hip, breathe in, and breathe out. Use the opposite hand now on the knee and just bring that knee across your body. So right hand now onto the left knee if you're doing it the same side as me. Bring that leg across and just feel that twisting through the lower part of your body. Keep both shoulders down. Try not to rotate the whole body and roll onto one side. Shoulders stay in touch with the mat, bring that knee across, just as far as you need to. And then gently bring it back. Left foot comes down to the floor. Slide, swap legs now. So hug the other knee in towards the chest. Lengthen the other leg away. Breathe through it. And then just use the opposite hand to ease the knee across the body. Just as far as you need to. Feeling the stretch now, twisting through the mid, lower part of the back. Bring that knee across the body and then back to centre. Hook both knees in towards the chest, still pressing the lower back into the floor. Breathe through. Okay, place your left foot down. Take your right ankle onto the top of your left knee and place your right hand on the inside of the right knee. So opening now into your right hip. Try and keep both hips level with each other, still pushing the knee away. Resist the hand and the knee against each other. Breathe in through the nose. Breathe out through the mouth. If you feel that this is enough for you now here, that's fine, stay here. Otherwise, you're going to bring your left foot off from the floor. So the left knee now is coming closer towards the chest. You can take your hands and just wrap them around the back of your thigh if you want to, so long as that doesn't make you look behind you. If you feel like your neck and your head are tilting backwards, you can do this without the hands there. just rest the hands down. So now the stretch has moved to the right side of your glute. You can always just rest your hands onto your shin. Breathe through it. Okay? Then gently bring your left foot down, and then your right foot will swap sides. Still keep those hips level. Left ankle just onto the top, the tip of the right knee. Open the left hip away from the body. Use the hand against the knee if you need to. Just ease it away. Breathe through. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. Bring the right foot off the floor. You might feel it stiffer on one side than the other. So either with the hands behind the thigh or just rest it onto your shin. Let this right knee come closer towards the body. The stretch is going to come through the left side of the glute. Okay, so it might feel quite an intense stretch as you're really getting a deep muscle into your bottom here. Okay, so just breathe through it, trying to relax the rest of your body. Just take your time being in this position now, okay? It's really, really good for our hips. If you've had enough, you can bring your right foot down to the floor, then bring your left foot down to the floor, and slowly sit yourself up. You can roll yourself up or roll onto your side first. Just take your time because you've been laying down for a while. Just bring the soles of the feet together for the last little stretch. Let the knees fall out to the sides. You can hold on to your ankles. Try and keep your chin, your head, your neck stacked in alignment with a good posture. Just let the knees fall out to the side. That's it, breathe through it. We're sitting on our sit bones, pulling the shoulders down away from the ears. Okay, if you want to, you can hinge forwards. You might feel more of a stretch into your hips, resting your elbows on the inside of your knees, slightly pushing the chest forwards. Okay, deepening into the stretch. Really get that opening into your hips. Breathe, relax. Well done, guys. So thank you for joining me in that session. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your hips feel a little bit better now. Take care, and I will see you